That is what I have.
Please put in the chat where you are zooming in from, joining us on today's webinar on the Isha Upanishads, the Advaita, Visistadvaita, and Dvaita views, different perspectives. So we've got quite a few folks from around the world. Let me give you a shout out if you've put it in the chat. Pankajji, thank you for your best wishes. Mohanji from Orlando, glad to have you on. Janaji from Arizona, a regular. Vishwanath Paiji from Mumbai, glad to have you on from Bharat. Mayank Tiwari from India, thank you for joining. Deepak from Kansas, right, Hindus are everywhere. Kumuji from Boston, always glad to have you on. Raji in Connecticut, it is a pleasure to have you join us today. Thank you everyone for joining us on this webinar with Sri Krishna Kashyapji. So I'll give a little bit of background and we'll get started. And we know the Hindu thought, the Indic knowledge systems, there's so much depth that provides for the simultaneous coexistence of varied perspectives on the nature of ultimate reality, those fundamental questions, and digging into them. And when we develop these thoughts deeply, we see that perspectives and different ideas naturally mature into diverse sampradayas, and sampradayas like denominations flourish and take on different ideas and explore and evolve over time. So in this webinar, we're going to be exploring that question, and specifically the three perspectives on Advaita, Visistadvaita, and Dvaita. Are they mutually incompatible and irreconcilable, or are they different perspectives on the same ultimate reality? And so does this apparent diversity and plurality of perspectives and sampradayas contained in Hindu thought emerge from an underlying unity, or do they end up fragmenting Hindu society into diverse and different irreconcilable communities? And through this webinar, we're also going to introduce a new course by Sri Krishna Kashyapji starting in the summer. So did anybody else put their names in the chat? Let me see. We got Dr. Kumar Mahabir from the Caribbean. Glad to have you join us. And now let me give Krishna Kashyapji an introduction as our speaker for today. So Krishnaji is in California this week, and he's doing a little, I guess, traveling, but he's an engineer and a businessman by profession. He holds a master's degree in engineering from Iowa, the University of Iowa. He's retired, but he's worked for almost 40 years in technology and businesses over several companies. But he's here because he has devoted a significant time on the study of Vedanta, Sanskrit, and yoga studies. He practices, he's been practicing for several decades from many different traditional teachers. And he's got a deep interest in recognizing the similarities and the differences across the three great flavors of Vedanta, Dvaita, Dvaita, and Visistadvaita. So Krishnaji has been teaching with Hindu University of America for, I think, a couple quarters now, several courses. I think we have some students of his in the audience. We may get to hear from them. But with that short introduction, let me hand it to Krishnaji to get us started on today's webinar. Welcome. Thank you.
Namaste, everyone. So, great. Ankurji, thank you for a wonderful introduction to this course. The plan for today's talk is to first introduce everyone to the topic, why study Vedanta, why study Upanishads. So that will be the first few minutes. And then I will talk to you a little bit about some depth into what this Isha Upanishad is about, and the way we are going to conduct the course details and stuff like that. So my talk would be only limited to 15-20 minutes. This is not a talk to explain everything about the subject. This is only an introduction to the course we are planning to have starting from next month. So I will leave the floor open for question answers. And so there, you can please feel free to ask any questions you have, right? And we will also give some time to prior students who will be on the panel or who are already on the panel to express their experience learning Vedanta in general. In the prior classes, we have talked about individually the different systems of thought, Advaita, Dvaita, Visistadvaita, mainly these three main schools. And there's a reason for it. And then in the last few, I have totally taught about 6 quarters at the Hindu University of America. During these 6 quarters, more than 100 students had the opportunity to take my courses. Some of them are on the panel, and they would directly tell you what to expect, what not to expect, and their personal experiences with the course. So with this, let me show you a brief PowerPoint, which puts things into perspective. Ankurji, can you please allow me to share the screen? Share multiple? Okay. Upanishad. PowerPoint.
Yep, we can see.
You can see the screen and you
Perfect.
can hear me.
Yes.
Perfect. All right. Here it is. Just let me position it. So actually what I am planning to do is study of Vedanta itself as a separate subject. This may take several quarters. So I will be starting a Upanishad series. That means every Upanishad, at least the major ones, so 10 Upanishads, starting with Isha. So we'll go through several years to come. 3 views on each of these Upanishads. You might wonder, why 3 views, Advaita, Visistadvaita, and Dvaita? Well, a simple answer is my background is I'm studying these three systems currently, or the last 40 years or something. That's one simple answer, but there's an important answer beyond it. Advaita and Dvaita are poles apart. One says everything is one. Dvaita says everything is separate, and they're uniquely separate. And Visistadvaita is somewhere in between these two ends. So if you think about other systems of thought, like the ISKCON's Chaitanya Sampradaya, Achintya Veda Veda, Shuddhadvaita, Vallabha, different systems you can think of, but they all will have some portions of these 3 main views, because logically there can be only 3 things. You're either together or totally apart or somewhere in between. So there's a fun, that is why these three systems are known as Matatraya. Historically also, they came earlier than the later Vedanta systems. Okay, let me go further with the next. So this is the structure of the talk we already talked about. 20 minutes my talk, and then feedback from other students and question answers. Okay, now why Vedanta? The answer is simple. Everybody is looking for happiness, and if they cannot find happiness in all the stuff they're doing today, then they should come to Vedanta and see, is there a place, is there something I should do to find happiness in a different way? And that too, unpolluted, blissful, highly blissful, unpolluted happiness, not something which will fail. Okay, so everybody looks for happiness. So the usual, usual options: jobs, love, money, food, water, shelter, whatever, entertainment. We always go. Usually, if you look at any human being, 8 billion of them, they're doing something like this. But where to find happiness, we don't know. So we keep on searching. Some people think that money is everything. Some people think that ownership, real estate, power, control, own countries, own people, own land, own real estate, own everybody, influence the whole universe. That's where happiness is. Most people think like that, or many people think like that. But there's a problem. We keep on aging. Youth, good health are important. So most of us are trying to look for happiness within the sensual world, within the mind and the senses, whatever we reach through our minds and senses. That's a problem, because people say we are like frogs in a well. We think that we have it all, just living in this world of sensual realm. But there's something beyond. What is that? The older rishis, the age-old rishis said that, happiness should be unlimited. Old age should not affect it. Thirst, hunger, disease, nothing should affect. Wow, we're talking something new. That was the idea of the rishis. And all desires should come true. We plan and we fail. We want to achieve, we want to be an entrepreneur. Only 5% of them probably will be successful. We want to do that. Simple things in life. We are not able to achieve what we want. Then what should we do? So the rishis realized that we need to get out of these 3 states of our life: sleep, wake, and dream states, and go to a different zone altogether. And that is known as the Turiyavastha. And they thought that if you go to the Turiyavastha, your mind will not be polluted, so your vision will be 100% accurate. Your 20/20 vision will help you understand life and traverse towards ultimate happiness. They figured that out. The rishis, long time back, went to the state and realized knowledge. And that knowledge is known as the Vedas. And the Vedas are just realizations. And then they started writing up the Vedas because the later generations didn't know how to get to the 4th state, or the Turiyavastha. So for the rest of us, they started having written forms of Vedas and the Upanishads. So, but what we have lost is the implementation of how to get to the 4th state. That is quite difficult, and that's what is yoga about. Okay? The later, a person called Haribhadra Suri, a Jain philosopher, separated and said these are the 6 darshanas, or the Shat darshanas. And that's how he analyzed the Astika systems, that is, the systems which belong to the Vedas, or which keep Vedas as important as testimony. So this is not the way our rishis thought about, because this classification is not wrong, but this was a later classification. Prior to that, there was a right way of looking at the classification. What are they? Look at the Vedas. We have 4 Vedas. So there were 14 sources of knowledge for the entire Indian system. The Vedas, the 4 of them, Upangas, which mean Mimamsa, Nyaya, Puranas, and Dharma Shastras. And then there were 6 Vedangas, with this, we can go in detail about this. We don't want to go in detail today. So Vedas, generally, they're divided into 4 portions: Samhita, Brahmanas, Aranyaka, and Upanishads. So the Upanishads are the ones which have philosophical content in them. And we are going to understand what the Upanishads talked about. But we need to understand something here. These rishis thought about, and these Vedas came to our knowledge, human knowledge, sometime around 1500 before the Common Era. So if you count the numbers now, we are in 2000 something, more than 3,500 years before today. So The Acharyas, that is the Advaita Acharya, the most famous of them is Shankaracharya. His guru may be Gaudapada Acharya, but we just take Shankaracharya as the most standard Advaita teacher. His time was sometime during the 7th century Common Era. And later was Ramanujacharya in the 11th. And then was Madhvacharya in the 13th. So these Acharyas came much later. So the rishis are the source of our knowledge, the Indian systems. So we need to understand what rishis had in their mind. So our sources are common, even for Visistadvaita, Dvaita, and Advaita. The source texts are pretty much common. There's a million lines of information here. There were no great wars between Visistadvaita, Dvaita, and Advaita thinkers. There was no bloodshed. They had different opinions. Okay. See, watch these 14 sources are sources of knowledge and dharma. So what is dharma? Think about dharma as the goal, where you want to go, and how you want to get there. The whole thing is just summarized in the one term called dharma. Dharma has different connotations. All these are explained in the Upanishad. So each Veda has 4 parts. We already covered it. Then the Upanishads, the main topics addressed in the Upanishads are nature of the goal, Brahman. What is Brahman, right? Nature of the aspirant, who are we? The individual. How to get there? What is the path? Nature of the final state, moksha. Once we get there, how does it feel? Nature of the obstacles on the path. So what are the obstacles? What is stopping us to get the ultimate bliss and happiness? So there are 3 texts on Vedanta: Upanishads, Brahma Sutras, and Bhagavad Gita. We are now mainly focusing on the Upanishads and 3 different views. Advaita has its own commentary. Shankaracharya wrote a commentary. From Visistadvaita, Ramanujacharya did not write, but he did address main shlokas, the main verses of these Upanishads in his different 9 works. But later on, Vedanta Deshika wrote a commentary on it. We should not forget, Dvaita, probably prior to Ramanujacharya, who was a Mimamsaka, wrote his own commentary on Isha Upanishad, and he disagreed with Shankaracharya. So Shankaracharya on one end propagated Advaita view. And Dvaita wanted to bring Mimamsa view there, and Visistadvaita and Dvaita brought their own views. The other systems like Dvaita, Advaita, Rimbarakacharya, Chintya Veda, Shuddha Advaita, Akshara Purushottama Darshana, this was formulated. The last one was formulated just about 10 years ago. Swaminarayan Samstha formulated this Vedanta. So there can be 100 different Vedantas, but usually that they all fit into logically 3 views, that is Advaita, Dvaita, and Visistadvaita. That's why we are focusing on these 3 views. My personal background, I would like to share when we talk during the question answers or something, just to know, somebody when I was 19 years old, I came from a very Sri Vaishnava background or Ramanujacharya system background. My parents belonged to that. So then somebody influenced me about Advaita heavily, and I started studying Advaita. Then I had a brief period of a few years when I lost interest in everything, and I became an atheist for a couple of years. When I came to the US, when I was working in Bell Laboratories, I was totally, I would say, influenced by science, and said that all these other older civilizations had their own faith and just belief in some things, like how the Egyptians had believed that we could amass a lot of wealth and put them in pyramids or something, and we can pick it up after we die to the next world or something like that. So all the other systems I thought were belief-based, even in India and everywhere. So I became a Nastika. I never believed in anything. Something changed in my life, and then I wanted to study the Upanishad. The first Upanishad I studied was Kathopanishad at that time. I'd already studied Bhagavad Gita earlier. Lucky I was in the right family. So I was seeking truth sincerely. I didn't want to believe in the system I was born in. I wanted to honestly understand what are the views of different acharyas. If somebody asked me, oh, why are you, do you believe in a particular system? Yes. Yes, I do. Oh, is that because your father told you to believe, or your grandfather told you to believe, or some old person told you to believe? Then comes the question, is my grandfather right? Or the older people who told me that this is the way to go, are they right? So the question of seeking, I'm sure, comes to many people. And that came to me. And I started studying different systems. And I was lucky to find very great acharyas, teachers who taught me. I'm indebted to all of them. And one of them really taught me how to be impartial, never give precedence to your own personal convictions. Try to understand every other systems in depth. So I'm especially indebted to that Sri KSV who taught me that. So if you ask anybody, are these three schools reconcilable? Definitely not. They're not reconcilable. Advaita is the best. The rest, they messed up. Somebody you ask somebody else, oh, Visistadvaita is the truth. Everyone is wrong. They're dreaming. Unreal. If you ask a Dvaitin, Madhvacharya knew everything. And the other acharyas, unfortunate, they're great people, but unfortunate, they're all messed up. So this is how these three systems, particularly people belonging to the families of these three systems or traditions or something like that, they think that these three schools are not reconcilable, and we are not going to move out of one little bit from what our acharyas have told us. So this is the common thing. Some people have realizations of their own experiences which support their view. I'm not saying they're just believing in their older people. They have their own realizations which tell them that no, this Shankaracharya is the right thing because I have the experience of Advaita. I have the experience of Aham Brahmasmi, I am Brahman. Some people say that I have the experience of what Ramanujacharya said. I am a servant of the Lord, and he is my antaryami, or he is the controller within. Somebody says that, oh, how can I am never, we are all different. And we all depend on that Hari or the ultimate Almighty, say the Dvaitins. So people think that they're all not reconcilable. But if you know and understand the systems in great depth, you will see a lot of common strands. And there's a reason for it, because the text which these acharyas did not write Upanishads. These acharyas did not write Bhagavad Gita. These acharyas did not write Vedas. They were realized by the rishis long time back. So there's an open forum. And this is a university I'm teaching. I'm not preaching and say, you join I don't have a yellow robe on me and say, you join my system and forget the rest of the system. I'm not doing that. I'm just being open. I want to explore three different views on the Isha Upanishad so that people have an open understanding. I'm not trying to, I'll try my best not to be partial to any system. I'm a human being. I have blind spots. I learn as I go. Every time I teach, I'm learning a lot more. So life is short, and it's like a river. You can never see the same water in the river, right? It's just flowing. So life is flowing fast. We can't get all the information we want. When we are alive, some gurus come and say they like you and they teach you. And after that, they're gone. For example, my favorite teacher, Sri KSV, passed away at his age, at old age of 98, just a couple of years back. So I've learned with different acharyas. I've asked some questions, but there's no perfect answer. There's no, we can't have this, all-knowing knowledge unless we realize. Okay. So I can do what I can do in this class. First step, my Guruji said, is go up and understand all the system. Look around and understand truly what their systems are. Get a perspective. Don't be a frog in a well in your own system of thought or your favorite system of thought. Try to understand. Appreciate different views from different perspectives. The same river appears from this tree differently, from this side of the bank differently. Similarly, Vedanta can be viewed differently. Even in physics, think about sociology applies to some, in reality around us, we have different subjects, physics, chemistry, biology, psychology, sociology. They apply to different systems within. They coexist. And in modern physics, classical mechanics, quantum theory, relative mechanics, all this apply to different speeds and different sizes. They coexist because reality is very complex. There's no single unified theory. So, well, there may be a unified theory. I don't know much about physics, right? But we don't know if everybody agrees with them. Similarly, in Vedanta, you can have multiple views. Okay, so quickly, I'm not going to say, so looking at all the texts, there's a lot of reconciliation possible. We will examine them. You may not agree. We'll see what we can do. The course structure. I'm teaching this course for the very first time. I have taught to a limited, 5-10 students long time back, about 10 years ago. I'm studying this for a long time. And I will first assess the number of students who will sign up. If you're interested, you can sign up, and I will talk prior to the first class, and we'll figure out what you like, what you don't like, and try to get a feel for how to present this course to make sense. So then we'll tailor it suitably. Sanskrit knowledge is not necessary. I'm not really, this class is not appropriate for going into every word root. Isha, Vasyam, is Isha the third vibhakti? Isha, what is the vibhakti? What is the connection? What is the grammar? Or all those things. We may not go through them. What we want to do is to give a conceptual view of what each Acharya thought about the system and how wonderful this Upanishad is, because within 18 mantras, they cover essential tenets of Vedanta, right? So the focus is on conceptual differences. Okay? And there are about 12 to 13 lectures totally. There are only 18 mantras, 18 shlokas, or 18 verses. We take 3 different perspectives on these fundamental, powerful Vedic mantras, Upanishad mantras. So in about 9 lectures, we'll finish 3 views on the Upanishad. So 3 lectures to cover each system view. And there will be 3 lectures left. And in the remaining 3 lectures, 1 lecture will be introduction to the topic and question answers for 2 lectures and maybe some reconciliation and discuss possible reconciliation methods. So this is how the course structure is set up. Now, I'm going to stop here and stop sharing and ask you if there's any questions, and I'll leave it to Ankur Patelji and the rest of you to ask questions.
And appreciate you exploring this subject so open-minded and inclusive, and with this perspective that you had. I think we have 2 students on, Suresh Ji and Vishwanath Ji.
Correct.
If you want to share, and in the meantime, please put your questions in the Q&A box and we will try to get through them. So do we want to start with a testimonial from Suresh Ji or Vishwanath Ji?
Yeah, why not? Take about 2-3 minutes and give your experiences, please, in my prior courses. Okay.
Hello. Good morning, everyone. In fact, good evening from India. I am based in Mumbai. I had the privilege of undergoing and studying with Krishnaji in his earlier course, which was on the Bhagavad Gita and the 3 Vedantic perspectives. For me, it was, I was absolutely a novice in terms of understanding or even having a knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita. And for the first 1 or 2 lectures, I was all at sea. It was like as if, I was absolutely at the deep end, trying to understand, what I was really getting into. But I found that, Krishnaji, had a very personal approach, and he spent time separately also to connect with me and give me some basic background and asking me to do some additional readings, which I found it very helpful. As far as the course itself goes, I found that the Krishnaji had explained the conceptual points in a very wonderful manner. The slides that he used to prepare for each of each weekly lecture were just fantastic. The effort that he put, the understanding that he has built over the last 40 plus years of study in Vedantic perspectives just shone through, and his personal approach just continued right through the course, and the connect is still there. I had a really wonderful experience, Krishnaji, and thank you very much. And I'm sure participants of this course also will find us have a similar experience working and interacting with Krishnaji. Yeah, thank you.
Good. Thank you very much, Krishnaji.
As well. So Sureshi, you can go next.
Yes, thank you, Ankar. My name is Suresh Behera. But I'll give you a little bit like quick. I hope my audio is okay. I'm based out of Chicago. I have my own startup. I have close to like 20 plus working experience in different IT company. And also I've been studied different Upanishads from different organizations, close to 8+ year, different Upanishads. So, but what this Krishna Prasad, Krishna Kashyapji's course is one of the best and is one of my favorite for a couple of reasons. One thing is different, as Krishnaji mentioned here, different system have a different way and approach to delegate things, your word, and impose how to do it, what it is, and how, like, how they are actually. But after learning from Krishnaji, one thing I got clarified and got clarity in my mind is how it is different system goes to the same. And when I studied all the most of the scripture, one thing I learned, it's a experience and realization is the hardest thing to pass over from person to person, generation to generation, from one system to like one generation to the another generation. And we are blessed and so fortunate to have a individual like Krishnaji who has studied like 40+ years and studied not only one system understanding, he has studied different acharya directly from the acharya, not like you are going to the university studied from professor or something, but acharya itself is a great bliss, like which I don't have access. So with that saying, when I say the realization, when I'm trying to understand the realizations, which is totally different than the concept. Concept in the sense, okay, we read a book, then you will get the concept. But that doesn't necessarily that make you realizations. Where one experience coming from an individual like Krishnaji, who has deeply studied and sharing that, it's like totally coming from the heart, and then you are getting like the truth is coming out actually. So with that note, I definitely encourage each and every individual. I have done all of the most of the courses from Krishnaji. I never missed it. Right now I'm in like in the beach area, but still I don't want to miss out this opportunity to take a thank you Krishnaji, and also encourage all the individual to participate and do this course. And another thing I wanted to say is, because when we grew up in India, we biased or subscribed to one system, And then we kind of built our own theory of hatred and love of one of the systems. So I think this is one of the best course to get out of that comfortness, get out of that concept to how we can love or realize different system and embrace the scripture study and the different pathways. I think that's all I can say in a word. I just wanted to say thank you for Krishnaji and other to give me this opportunity. All I can say is please register for the course, and I'm also going to enroll myself some of his other course too. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sureshji. Thanks for taking the time. This is a holiday weekend here in the US, so many people are not even attending, I think. Let's see what happens. Prasadji, go ahead.
Yeah, namaste everyone. So I took the 3 Vedantic perspectives on Bhagavad Gita last quarter by Krishnaji, and I got more than what I expected out of the course, because what I learned was that even amidst a lot of diversity of perspectives, there is an underlying unity of Hindu thought, and Krishnaji covered the Advaita, Visistadvaita and Dvaita philosophies at a deeper, very granular level. And also what are those apparent differences and how to reconcile them. And these reconciliation strategies, they are built on first principles thinking, where we explore the fundamental assumptions of each of these 3 systems of thought. And also Krishnaji provides a lot of width as well as depth in his content, in his slide deck. And those are all my references for the rest of my life. And there were several concepts that Krishnaji covered in his course, and these are all esoteric concepts in every system. It's not very easy to get the essence of all those systems in a conceptual way, and I got intrigued by many of these concepts, and I did a lot of my own additional study, and in that process I think I shed many of my biases that many of us have, because in our life we tend to just stick to just one system of philosophy. And many times we may not even understand the esoteric concepts in that specific system of thought. So it's good to understand what are those different perspectives. And also Krishnaji has uploaded a lot of several YouTube lectures on this comparative understanding of those 3 different systems of thought. So those are again good references. I'm actually planning to enroll in this course, and I would definitely encourage, recommend everyone who has interest in these different schools of thought, how to reconcile, and yeah, if you have different people in the course, we also get different perspectives. I also enjoyed those different perspectives in the course. We had about 10 to 15 people to begin with, and each one of them had different backgrounds. And we also had some people who had background in different religions. And they could find some similarities of our perspectives in their own religion, and that was something that I think was a good learning experience for me. So looking forward to enrolling in this course and seeing most of you in the course.
Excellent. Any questions from the audience?
So we have one question from Rohit Gargji. He's kind of asking, how do we measure the success of the course and evaluate how much are students getting? I think that student testimonials really spoke to that, but maybe we could just go around one more time. Shanji has a question, but he didn't type it out. Maybe I can allow him to unmute in a minute, but let's take that. What are students going to get out of it, right? That's a perennial question. How do you measure that? Is it measurable?
The thing is, I think Sureshji, Prasadji, and Vishwanathji talked very well from their perspective as what they got out of it, right? I just want to mention, Vishwanathji, can I mention something personal to you here regarding your finding about where you came from?
Very definitely. Very definitely.
The thing is, Vishwanathji comes from an area in India called the Gauda region or Gauda Saraswat set of people from Gaudasara. It's something like Mangalore on top, north of Mangalore or somewhere there, right? That is the region. And traditionally that comes from the Gaudapada Acharya. That is why it's known as Gauda Saraswata set of people. And he strongly believed that Advaita is what they believed, or he comes from the Advaita lineage, or that makes sense to him and things like that. At the end of the course, when he started looking, something didn't look correct. And then he said, look, who are your prior teachers? Where do you come from? I had personal discussions with all of them, right? So I tried to ask them, where did you come from? What is this? You say it Gaudapada and your practices seem slightly off. What is that? Then he said Kashimat. And he didn't know what Kashimat was. I didn't know what Kashimat was because I had no idea where Kashimat is. And we Googled together, we Googled and figured out where Kashimat is. Then I found the first Acharya of the Kashimat who probably came in 15th century. Then we figured out that this Kashimat is actually a branch of Dvaita, a branch of Madhvacharya system of thought. But they somehow landed up in Haridwar, Kashi or somewhere. And they started that whole division. Then I told him, he said, okay, this has changed my life. I had to figure out what these people taught me about. I spent 50 years as an entrepreneur or working in a very powerful high-tech company. Now I have to I'm retired now. I have to figure out where I belong, what it is, why did they think like this? So this was some very personally impressive story I heard. This is just one way of looking at it. Second way of looking at it, let's try to answer the question, right? How do you measure it? How it personally affects you? That is a one measurement. I cannot, or anybody cannot learn Vedanta in just a quarter. It'll open up your mind where you start searching and try to understand for the rest of your lives. It'll change your life. If it changes, then there's a measurement. The other thing is a very simple academic measurement. Each one of them wrote a small paper on what these three systems are and how can we reconcile based on. I found these papers were amazing. I wanted to invite a Christian friend of mine who took the course. His name is Jose Engojo. He's a great person. He has his personal story, which will be published on the HUA website. He wrote me about how things changed in his life and how many difficulties he had in his life coming from Philippines, settling in America, having almost nothing to start with, and how his whole thinking become Vedantic and where does it stand now. That was a mind-blowing experience he related to me. So one thing is academic, write the papers, look at the papers. If the papers are great, fine. But how did they change? Their lives changed from that point. That's one measure I like. Okay, somebody has a comment. Okay, any feedback, questions?
Measure and opening up your mind in so many ways. We have a couple of questions and comments. Thank you, Rohitji, for that question. Sean says they have a question. I'm putting the details of the course in the chat. It's going to start July 9th. It's going to be every Sunday at 11 a.m. You can register right there on that link. We got Indrani Day, who has their hand raised, and Pankaj Parikh. I don't know if those are previous students or they have questions, but I'm going to let Sean, who has a question, unmute themselves, allow to talk. Pankaj Parikh is a regular and a strong supporter. Let me just bring him on the panel real quick. And Indrani Day as well, right? Indrani took the course, is that correct? Or does Indrani have a question? Do you know Krishnaji? Indrani Day?
Yeah, Indrani took the course, I think, long time back.
Let's bring Indrani Ji on the panel as well. Great. Shanji, go ahead and ask your question.
Oh,
yeah,
my
thank you so
friend
much.
Pankaj Parikh is there.
All
Hi,
right.
Shanji. Good to see you there. Namaste and congratulations. And I'm so proud that you're pursuing your passion, expanding out of combining the three perspectives that you have.
Sorry, Ankurji, can you hear me?
Yeah, so let's let Sean ask the question. Pankaj, you'll get your chance to be a part of the panel. And let me just, at the meantime, while this is all going on, let's just launch the poll because I see some people were kind of clearing the top of the hour. If you want to fill it out, let us know if you're interested in the course. We'll keep track of that. So Shanji, let's take your question, and then we'll go to Pankaj Parikji, and if Indrani can join the panel after that.
Thank you, Ankurji, and thank you, Krishnaji, for giving the the basics what we are getting from the course. So I am a novice. I can see we all are seekers here. That's the common thing, possibly for all of us. What it is for a very like novice person in terms of knowing this three different ways of like Advaita, and all those things, because I have possibly no background or knowledge about this. How would I be able to grasp through this course?
In my prior courses, 70% of the people are novices, were novices in the prior courses, right? So they did not find it difficult at all. And
Okay.
we will personally evaluate how people understand and try to tailor the course suitably. So it's not a difficult issue at all.
Great. Yeah. One just quick follow-up question. So when we go through these courses, is there a way, Ankurji, to connect with the previous students? So there is a forum and we can kind of connect with each other, get more knowledge, because there is a lot beyond this course. I can understand this is a vast subject.
That's a great idea, Shanji. And we have a little bit of, it's kind of course by course and faculty by faculty. If there is an ongoing WhatsApp group where people are communicating, a discussion board, an email thread. But yeah, we can definitely, especially because of the way that Krishnaji has set up this course, and it's going to progress for years, Upanishad by Upanishad. I think we can tailor something for Krishnaji's course and the folks who take that. So thank you for that question. And this is a great place to start. As Krishnaji said, you don't have to have that previous knowledge. This is a great course for novices, and you will get to a deeper understanding and engagement. So that is great. So thank you, Shanji. Was that your last question?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. All right, Pankajji, to you.
Congratulations, Krishnaji, for coming up with this additional new course, and I think my best wishes for the success. My feeling is that there are two separate ways I would look at this course. One is a personal own spiritual growth, for which I think there is no better place to start than Isha Upanishad and understanding that. But on the other hand, many of us here are inquirers into Hindu philosophy, and for them to widen out their knowledge base, to understand different perspectives. And while I have explored Isha Upanishad in a big way, I personally did not explore the Dvaita, etc. Commentary on those. So it gives I think we need to widen our vision so that we can interact with other people much better. We have a reasonable understanding of the other paths rather than thinking they are separate cocoons by themselves. We are all connected. The views might be different. So I think it would be a great way to enhance that understanding.
Definitely. Thank you. By the way, let me introduce Pankaj Ji. He's a physician in the East Coast, and he runs his own group of people, and is very active in philosophy and helps out so many people. Thank you, Pankaj Ji, for coming on the panel and be of support. Your support. Thank you.
We all enhance each other, and that is what the life is all about. And I think it's a great way to continue. I'm still waiting, though you are more post on my satsang site there, but I understand at some stage you will get quieter time there. So happy to help.
The problem is time.
I understand.
Yeah. Any other questions from the audience?
So we got Sean. Well, actually, Raj Kalani says, and it's more of a comment, but it's a good one, I think. Don't think we hate other systems, but rather we haven't been taught or made aware of these rich philosophical approaches to consciousness. He's read the Ramayana and the Gita and tried to follow, but having someone teach these Vedic schools of thought would be great. Yes, Raji, please do take the course. That is why we're doing this. Thank you for that comment. We had a couple other people drop some. We had Professor Rana Singh from Varanasi. Thank you for joining.
Wow.
And we had Krishna Ravindraji had to leave early. The recording will be made available to everyone who registered. Thank you for joining. Indraniji, if you got to accept the promotion to panelist in order to join. So I just sent another one. I'll allow you to talk. If you end up unmuting, there you go. So we'll have Indraniji come on, and then as Indraniji gets on, let me take Venkatji's question. Venkat has actually taken a couple courses by Krishna Kashyap ji at HUA on comparative studies. His Vidvat is great and he has rich guru lineage. It was enriching to attend the classes and highly recommend it. Great. Thank you for that little testimonial. All right. Is Indrani available?
Ankurji, if I may answer the last question, number 8, which was asked, what is particularly significant about Isha Upanishad? Osho, in his commentary on this Upanishad, mentions this sentence that in the whole humanity, if all the literature on philosophy goes away and only one first stanza of this survives, Ishavasyanidam sarvam yatkinchan jagatyam jagat, the whole philosophy will be recreated from that. All understanding can come out. So I think that is how significant this Upanishad would be, like many other, but this has its own core theme, which is interesting.
Excellent. Thank you, Ji.
Ask our panelists and group of panelists, students, and Krishnaji a question. Please put it in the Q&A box. With that, let me just give the poll is running. Please let us know if you're interested in enrolling in this course, the Isha Upanishads. So this is the first time this is being offered, and it looks like it's going to be a trajectory of different courses on the different Upanishads from the perspectives. So the 11, 12 folks who said maybe later on the poll, I don't know if you're going to be able to take this course, but you would be able to join another course in the future with Krishnaji. So thank you for the 10 people who said yes, definitely. We're going to follow up and hopefully we will have a very lively and engaging course for Krishnaji and a Zoom room to engage in this important conversation. We look forward to getting the essays maybe turned into blogs that will be shared on the HUA platform. That is, if the essays are great and we want to share them, that is something else that we can continue to utilize the platform to propagate the information. Okay, great. So maybe we go around one time with closing thoughts if we're not getting any other questions. How does that sound?
Yep. Just let me make one point. Just add a few more thoughts to what Pankaj said about the Isha Upanishad. See, we need to understand traditionally the 10 major Upanishads are Isha Kena Kata, Munda Mandukya Titri, and so on. And Brihadaranyaka, Chandogya are very famous Upanishads. If you ask some people, they only want to focus on Brihadaranyaka and Chandogya. That's where a lot of information is hidden. But for some reason, even traditionally, even prior to Shankaracharya, long time back, this series of Isha, Kena, Kata, Mundaka, and this series of 10 Upanishads were given in the same order. The first was Isha, second was Kena, third was Kata. So this the series didn't change for some reason. For traditions, Isha is the first Upanishad. Then I asked my Guruji about it. He said that Isha has the overview of all Upanishads in just 18 mantras. Like how there are 18 chapters in the Gita. In 18 mantras, shlokas, Isha covers pretty much everything you want to know. The main ideas. So it's good for us to take steps. Go to the first one, Isha, then go to Kena, Kata, and go in the series. This gives us more information to study later Upanishads. Even though chronologically these Upanishads might have come in different times. But the method of study is better this way.
So please unmute and let's hear what you have to share, Dhaniji.
Dhaniji, go ahead. Can't hear. Muted. She's muted.
Yes, so please unmute yourself, Indraniji.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes, great.
Okay. First of all, thank you for giving me the chance to share my opinion. And it has been a wonderful discussion. It's not actually a question, it's just an opinion from my side that the basis of Isha Upanishad, I believe, is the communism of the soul, right? Like identifying your own soul with others. So it is the same thing as it was preached by Ramakrishna Paramahansa Dev, that the same consciousness, the common consciousness, what we call the Chaitanya, it's prevailing in everybody and in every creature in the world. So we have to identify with that common consciousness, that common Chaitanya. Now, if we want to communicate like this, so in that case, we have to overcome all the instincts that we have, because instincts, it just, always drive us to get more, the greed, and all these things, the materialistic wants and everything. So again, to win this instinct, we need other yogas and meditation, yogas, all these things help us to win the instinct. So in some way or other, all those Upanishads, Vedas, and everything is interconnected. And all are aiming at the same ambition to attain the one single thing in life, that is what Ramakrishna Dev also preached, that the aim of human being, the aim of human life is to attain God, attain the spiritual, the ultimate supreme consciousness, the truth. So in that case, I think all are interrelated and all are showing the different ways to attain that. Am I right?
Thank you, Jig. Good comment. Thank you, Jig.
Yeah.
Taking the course, but after hearing Krishna ji, he is going to take the course. And please do sign up for the course through that link right through there. We'll do the follow-up email. We'll include the recording. If you haven't filled out the poll, please do. And I think we're on our last round of concluding thoughts now. Didn't get any extra questions. Thank you to the 55, 60 people who joined us today, still the 40 who are with us on this holiday weekend on a Sunday. Thank you for joining us. Krishna ji or any other of the students want to make some closing thoughts, and maybe we'll leave it for Krishna ji to end the webinar with his wisdom.
Well, thank you, everyone. I thank the panelists and Ankur ji for such a good support. So you can still communicate. If you need more information regarding this course, you can write an email, write directly to HOA. That information will come to me and I will answer them personally. And think from this perspective that every one of us, as long as we are breathing, we have issues in life, in the sense that time is running out for everyone, right? 100 years, if you take 100 years and if you take a huge like timeline of 10,000 years, we are just a small speck in this timeline. And every one of us who are breathing will experience pleasure and pain. And if you want to think about a long-term goal, there is a simple, story, simple tidbit one person wrote a long time back. It says that when you are young, you work very hard so that you save up money, so that later on, when you are older, you can use the saved money to support yourself. So in the olden times, they used to work very hard during the summer season and when there's no rain, so that if for the rainy season, they used to save up stuff, right? Iha paratra chapi, it says, while you're living, you should start thinking about the next and where you want to go, how that next thing is, what is the ultimate goal. This is fundamental. This will occur to everybody at one time, I think. So Isha Upanishad deals with this, which will help every one of us. So it's a great pleasure for me to go and again think about it and learn and understand and teach. That's my, that's my satisfaction. So welcome everyone, and let's see if we can work together and learn this wonderful Upanishad. Namaste.
Thank you. Namaste.